The terracotta warriors were uncovered in China's Jiangxi province in 1974 on the burial site of the country's first emperor. The figures, each one different, were made to protect him in the afterlife.
Beneath the ancient soil of Xi'an, archaeologists have just found something that has shaken history to its core: a newly found Terracotta Army commander.
He ordered his real army to be recreated in clay and buried with him.
Look at the scale of this place. It tells you a lot about the guy. His ego, his vision for his afterlife.
This single find doesn't just add another clay figure to the ranks. It changes what we thought we knew about the power, reach, and secrets of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Who was this mysterious leader? And why was he buried with such honor among thousands of warriors? What hidden layers of history have been kept from the world? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. A newly found Terracotta Army commander. In the final days of 2024, something happened in Xi'an that once again caught the world's attention. For years, people believed the great Terracotta Army had already given up most of its secrets. Thousands of life-sized clay soldiers had been found, all made more than 2,000 years ago, to guard the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. But just when it seemed nothing new would be uncovered, archaeologists came across a figure that changed everything. This new discovery was not another ordinary foot soldier. What they pulled from the ground was a figure that appeared to be a commander. The difference was clear almost immediately. The armor was more detailed, with patterns carved into the clay. The posture was stronger, with one arm raised as if he was giving an order. Even the hairstyle was carefully made, suggesting that this man held a high position. Small traces of color showed that the figure had once been painted in bright shades, something that made it stand out even more. Unlike the soldiers lined up in rows, this figure was placed near chariots, in an area already linked to cavalry and flanking units. That placement was no accident. It pointed to an organized military structure being represented in clay, complete with leaders and ranks. This was the first major warrior discovery in more than 30 years. Until then, many thought most of the important finds had already been made. The discovery of a commander proved that the site still had secrets to give, and that the Terracotta Army was even more complex than experts first believed. The global reaction was quick. News of the commander spread quickly, and museums around the world began changing their arts. In California, the Bowers Museum showed the new figure as a centerpiece in 2025, drawing big crowds. Scholars, artists, and historians talked about what the finding meant. Some thought about if the commander stands for a real person from the emperor's court. Others said it was more likely an idealized figure meant to show the order and control of the empire. Small details in the armor and clay finish were studied closely, with some experts saying they formed a kind of visual language. These details may have been meant to signal rank, loyalty, or power in ways that we are only now starting to understand. The commander's discovery did more than add a new figure to the Terracotta Army. It changed the way people think about the entire site. Instead of seeing it as only a grand funerary monument, many now see it as a system, a carefully built model of an empire designed to continue in the afterlife. It showed that Qin Shi Huang did not just want soldiers to stand guard. He wanted to bring order, structure, and control with him, even in death. At the same time, the new discovery reminded the world of another great mystery: the unopened tomb of Qin Shi Huang himself. Ground radar surveys show that under a massive mound near the army lies an underground palace. The scans suggest walls, corridors, and even artificial landscapes. Ancient records say the tomb contains palaces, rivers of liquid mercury, and possibly deadly traps meant to protect the emperor. Tests of the soil around the mound show high levels of mercury, proving that at least part of those stories may be true. Yet, despite all this, the tomb remains sealed. The Chinese government and many archaeologists argue that opening it now would destroy anything inside. They point to what happened when the terracotta soldiers were first uncovered in the 70s. Many of them had bright paint that vanished within minutes of being exposed to the air. Some believe that preservation is not the only reason the chamber remains closed. When put together, the commander's finding and the closed tomb send a clear message. The Terracotta Army is not just a collection of clay figures. It is a carefully built system that shows the power and control of Qin Shi Huang. If finding a new commander changed what we know about the Terracotta Army, what happens when modern AI steps in to bring these silent warriors back to life? Let's learn more. When AI brought the Terracotta Army back to life. In recent months, artificial intelligence has helped researchers open up new secrets about one of the world's greatest archaeological wonders, the Terracotta Army in Xi'an, China. While experts have studied the site for years, new AI scans in 2025 showed details that human eyes and older tools had missed, leaving historians and scientists shocked. The Terracotta Army was first found in 1974 when farmers digging a well came across broken clay figures, armor, and weapons. This find led to one of the most important archaeological findings of the 20th century. Diggings showed that thousands of human-sized warriors, each with different facial features, hairstyles, and clothing, were buried in military formation near the emperor's tomb. Their duty was to protect him in the afterlife, showing his belief that power should continue even after death. Each soldier was carefully made, with real bronze weapons and traces of paint that once made them look lifelike. Archaeologists believe about 8,000 warriors, along with horses and chariots, were created. The detail was so exact that each figure looked like a real person made in clay. For years, experts studied the site, but many mysteries were about how the army was made and what role it truly played. The introduction of AI scanning has now changed everything. Using better 3D imaging and cameras, researchers got every detail of the figures, from tiny cracks in the clay to traces of paint. The scans were so exact that they could record differences smaller than a millimeter. Once this data was gotten, AI software checked it, spotting marks across thousands of warriors at once, something no human could ever do. The results were groundbreaking. First, AI showed that the soldiers were originally painted in bright colors, reds, greens, and purples, proving the army once looked like a real, vibrant force instead of the gray statues we see today. Second, the scans showed that some of the bronze weapons showed signs of actual use, hinting that they may have been taken from real battlefields before being buried. This challenged the long belief that the army was only symbolic. AI also found hidden chambers under the main pits, showing that the emperor's underground project may have been much bigger than we thought. Scholars saw these secret corridors as a city inside a city. Even more shocking were the writings found on the figures. Once thought to be random marks, AI analysis shows they were notes, records of workers, instructions, and account of supplies. Some writings even hint that parts of the army were missing or hidden on purpose. One of the most disturbing findings came from links between the scans and historical texts. Evidence hints that human sacrifices may have been tied to the army's creation, raising questions about whether workers or guards were buried alive to serve the emperor in death. While not fully proven, this has sparked new talks about the darker side of Qin Shi Huang's reign. Alongside these grim findings, There were also shocking new finds. AI identified the remains of a rare general figure, taller and more richly armored than ordinary soldiers, as well as fragments of a full war chariot. The wear and tear on the chariot suggested it had been used in real battles, showing that the emperor wanted real military strength buried with him, not just clay-made. The use of AI in Xi'an also ties to other findings worldwide. In Cyprus, for example, AI scans of terracotta figures from the sanctuary of Agia Irini shows that the statues were not just local religious items. Instead, they showed influences from Greek, Egyptian, and Near Eastern cultures. This suggested that Cyprus was a place of cultural and political exchange, playing a much bigger role in history than once believed. Together, these cases show that AI is not only keeping artifacts, but also changing history. The Terracotta Army, once thought to be a silent guardian, has now become a voice of history. Through AI, it speaks again, reminding us that the past is never truly buried, only waiting for the right tools to bring it back to life. If the Terracotta Army could transform an emperor's tomb into a world wonder, how did it also change the land, the people, and even the future of Xi'an itself? Stay tuned for more. Xi'an's transformation and the emperor's legacy. When the first pieces of clay warriors were discovered, local farmers had no idea how radically their lives and their land would change. The discovery of the Terracotta Army in 1974 transformed Xi'an and the surrounding areas from a dry, cracked farming village that was struggling to find water to one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world. In a matter of years, the dusty paths of Xi'an village were paved into modern roads. Tourists started arriving in buses, and the once isolated farmland became a destination for millions of tourists. By 1979, a museum was built directly over the excavation site to house the warriors. By 1979, the warriors were housed in a museum that was constructed right over the excavation site. The Chinese State Council designated the Terracotta Army a national treasure, and Xi'an rose to international prominence. Once concerned with their crops, farmers now lived close to one of the world's most popular archaeological sites. As a testament to how this remarkable discovery transformed everyday lives, Yang Jifa, the farmer who had initially struck the clay pieces, was employed to sign souvenirs at the museum. From that point on, Xi'an was more than just a city in central China. It was at the center of a historical and cultural narrative that still draws tourists from all over the world. The first Chinese emperor, Qin Shi Huang, is at the heart of this tale. He came to power during a period of upheaval when China was split up into warring states, having been born around 259 BCE. He ascended to the throne of the Qin Empire at the age of 13, and his forces progressively overthrew competing nations over the course of the following 20 years. He accomplished something that no one had done before him in 221 BCE. He united all of China under his control and dubbed himself the first emperor. His reign was characterized by both brutal policies and amazing accomplishments. China is still influenced by the ways that Qin Shi Huang standardized life throughout the kingdom. To guarantee seamless road traffic, he instituted a single currency, a single writing system, and consistent weight, coin, and even cart axle width measurements. As a precursor to the Great Wall of China, he directed the construction of defensive walls along the northern border. He extended highways, constructed canals to link river systems, and established a large network that facilitated quicker military and commercial travel. Through these modifications, a divided nation was brought together to become a single empire. But his rule was also marked by harsh legalist philosophy. Under his system, strict obedience was demanded, and punishments were severe. If one person broke the law, their entire family could be punished. He burned books that contradicted his government and buried or enslaved hundreds of scholars who resisted. His fear of death and love for eternal power drove him to search for portions of immortality, sending experts across the seas in hopes of finding magical herbs. When that failed, he turned to building a big underground city, a tomb made to mirror his capital and protect him in the afterlife. This tomb, guarded by the Terracotta Army, remains one of the most ambitious projects in history. Archaeologists today have a significant obstacle. The emperor's main tomb has never been excavated. Despite decades of excavation and study of the Terracotta Army, deadly traps, rivers of liquid mercury, and hidden treasures are all described in ancient literature. Mercury levels hundreds of times greater than usual are found in soil tests near the mound, indicating that these reports might be accurate. Delicate items like silk, hardwood furniture, and painted antiquities could deteriorate in a matter of minutes after coming into contact with fresh air, if the chamber is opened carelessly. Due to these dangers, researchers are using contemporary technologies to examine the tomb without having to open it. Within a few months, non-invasive techniques like muon radiography, which scans subterranean regions using cosmic rays, could provide a detailed image of the chamber's layout. In order to gather air samples and take pictures without upsetting the structure, fiber optic robots are being designed to crawl through tiny dirt fissures. The warrior's pigments are being examined using hyperspectral imaging, which shows that several of them were originally vividly painted in reds, blues, and greens. An emperor who aspired to govern forever and a contemporary world still attempting to discover his secrets without destroying them are all represented by the Terracotta Army, which serves as a reminder of human ambition both past and present. What deeper secrets remain in the way the Terracotta Army was built, its underlying ideas, and its design puzzles, if the discovery of new commanders and the use of contemporary equipment revealed so much about it? Let's find out. Unraveling the hidden secrets of the Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army has been one of the most shocking creations of the Old World. The biggest shock has always been how the army was built. Creating over 8,000 soldiers would have needed a lot of organization and skill. New studies show that the figures were not just made through forced labor, as many once thought. Instead, they were carefully designed in a way that mixed mass production with individual detail. Archaeologists have found evidence of huge kilns near the site that had advanced airflow systems. These kilns helped workers to manage temperature so the clay could be fired well, which was far ahead of its time. This shows that the people behind the army were not just laborers following orders, but highly skilled workers who used science and planning to make something amazing. What has been learned about the individuals who created the figurines is even more startling. The army was believed to be made up of anonymous laborers for generations, but recent studies have shown otherwise. Some statues have marks inside that look like codes or signatures that separate craftsmen or workshops. This shows that the project was set up like a guild, with different duties and roles for the engineers, sculptors, potters, and artists. Their labor demonstrated that they were acknowledged experts rather than forgotten slaves, and it carried pride and identity. Another startling discovery has come from DNA analyses of remains found close to the site. Populations from the Middle East and even some regions of Europe are matched by some markers. This could mean that long before the Silk Road was created, foreign artists were moving eastward. If correct, the Terracotta Army would rank among the first examples of cultural interchange, with ideas and skills moving across continents far earlier than anybody had thought. Another shocking part of the tomb chamber's architecture has been shown by new studies. Some of the safe were built to produce echoes and improve sound, according to experts checking the subterranean buildings. This shows that the areas might have been used for ceremonies, rites, or even parties. A sense of shock and power may have been created by the style by making chants or voices sound unearthly. If correct, the mausoleum served as a stage where ritual and music brought together the spiritual and material worlds in addition to being a place of burial. The Qin dynasty's military might can also be seen from the army's organizational structure. The soldiers were put in certain places that look like actual fighting formations of the era, according to military experts who studied their organization. With chariots, infantry, cavalry, and archers arranged in strategic order, the men appeared to be prepared for battle. This was not random decoration, but an authentic representation of the emperor's army. The weapons once held by the warriors confirm this. Some crossbows were so advanced they would not be surpassed for centuries. Bronze swords found at the site were made with chromium, a chemical process that helped prevent rust. This level of metallurgical knowledge shocked modern scientists who once thought such techniques were impossible in that period. Whether discovered by accident or through careful study, the process was used consistently, showing how advanced the Qin craftsmen truly were. Taken together, these discoveries show that the Terracotta Army is far more than just a collection of clay statues. It is a story of human desire, artistic pride, and worldwide connection. The shock of how it was made points to a society that valued both skill and organization. Old civilizations were more linked than many used to believe, as evidenced by the evidence of foreign influence. While the tactical detail shows the real might of his army, the symbolism and ceremonies show the emperor's fixation with dominance and immortality. The Terracotta Army continues to protect the emperor's tomb and the heritage of human thought and faith over 2 millennia later. Its mysteries serve as a reminder that history is seldom straightforward and that mysteries may still lie hidden among the most ancient marvels. Regarding the recently found Terracotta Army commander, what are your thoughts? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.